A sick airline passenger prompts Ebola task force protocols. A rapist is sentenced after a 9-year-long trial. And a bloody home invasion prompts the government to roll out new crime strategies. We've got these stories and a whole lot more. I'm Ava Turnquist, and this is the Tribune's Top 5. The Tribune continued its investigation into the environmental impact of a 2012 gas leak in the Marathon area. Environment Minister Kendra Dorset explained this week that there was no cover-up on the part of the government as related to public information over the spill.
Mr. Dorset said he was in talks with area MP Jerome Fitzgerald to host a town meeting for residents, whom he said may have unnecessary fears over the underground gas leak at the Robinson and Old Trail Roads service station. He explained that the independent report, prepared by consultants Black & Veatch, will have to receive clearance from the Attorney General's office before findings are released due to the ongoing civil litigation between Rubis Bahamas and Cable Bahamas. Mr. Dorset's comments come more than 7 months since a comprehensive statement on the gas leak was promised, and residents maintain that they have received little to no information about remediation plans for the area or the results of initial tests conducted to determine their level of exposure. However, Mr. Dorset this week claimed that there has been ongoing communication with relevant stakeholders. Ebola preparedness protocols were put to the test this week when an American traveler from Tennessee displayed symptoms of vomiting and diarrhea while traveling on a private charter plane en route to Exuma. The plane was diverted to New Providence, where a health evaluation team determined that there was no public threat. According to the Ministry of Health, the passenger did not travel to an Ebola-affected area, nor had any contact with anyone who had traveled to such an area. There was no other passengers with any signs of illness, and the aircraft was allowed to proceed to its destination. At a conference this week, Prime Minister Perry Christie urged ship owners to adopt national protocols as he highlighted the transshipment linkages between West Africa and Grand Bahama. The Ebola virus disease is characterized by a sudden onset of fever, intense weakness, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat. These symptoms may be followed by vomiting, diarrhea, rash, impaired kidney and liver function, and in some cases, internal and external bleeding.
Mixed reaction to the sale of the British Colonial Hilton to a Chinese state-owned company continues this week, with Prime Minister Perry Christie firing back at critics, namely former Deputy Prime Minister Brent Simonet.
Mr. Simonet expressed concerns to Tribune Business earlier this week about the economic implications of having China State Construction Engineering Company, a state-controlled investor, quote, take over the entire capital, end quote. He explained that his family, together with other Bay Street real estate owners and operating businesses, might feel railroaded into accepting the China State Construction Plan and what he calls an undefined public-private sector partnership to redevelop downtown Nassau. Hitting back, Mr. Christie suggested that Mr. Simonet and other Free National Movement members have been hypocritical in their criticism. He called Mr. Simonet's concerns surprising, given the F&M government's decision to allow the Chinese, via port company Hutchison Rampoa, the right to veto development of any port. Mr. Christie explained that any changes to Bay Street would involve local investors in the area. Officials remained tight-lipped over the Hilton sale price, pointing to a strict confidentiality agreement. However, sources familiar with the deal suggested that the figure is around the $60 million mark. In court this week, Justice Carolita Bethel questioned why it took nearly 9 years for a man to stand trial in the Supreme Court for the rape of a child that occurred in 2005. 48-year-old Christopher Butler was convicted this month and sentenced to 12 years imprisonment for 2 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse with a 9-year-old girl who was entrusted in his care. The 10 incidents of assault took place between May 1st and 10th, after the girl returned home from school. The prison term was reduced to 9 years after taking into account the 3 years Butler spent on remand. The judgment comes as outrage on social media continues to build over the 5-year sentence given to a man for raping a 6-year-old girl earlier this month. Bishop Simeon Hall, pastor emeritus of New Covenant Baptist Church, has renewed calls for authorities to establish a minimum sentence of life imprisonment for convicted offenders. In a press conference this week, Bishop Hall charged that children who are raped suffer through a lifetime of hell.
An early morning home invasion escalated into a gunfight between a resident and intruders, with the resulting fatality bringing the country's murder count to 97.
It was early Tuesday morning when 3 men kicked in the front door of 44-year-old Blair resident Andre Cartwright. Cartwright was at home with his mother and father when the assailants burst in claiming to be police officers. According to reports, Mr. Cartwright got his licensed shotgun and went to investigate the noise when he encountered the 3 intruders, one of whom was armed with a handgun. Mr. Cartwright was shot multiple times during the brief exchange of gunfire and died at the scene. One of the suspects was also shot. However, the 3 culprits fled the scene, and the injured suspect was later taken to hospital by a woman driver and is now said to be in serious condition. The woman was arrested along with another suspect who was found the next day hiding in a Paradise Island hotel. Speaking to the new crime initiatives, Dr. Nottage said he was confident new measures will achieve satisfying results within a short period of time, and he maintained that the government had no greater priority than intensifying the fight on crime.
The country also made history this week. Bahamian Tishka Francis was elected to serve as Vice Chair of the United Nations General Assembly's Second Committee. Ms. Francis is the first Bahamian to serve in that post. And that's it for now. Join us next week as we recap the week's hottest stories. Want to get on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Go to our website, www.tribune242.com. Like us on Facebook, Tribune News Network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune242, or send us a tweet at Tribune242.